Hi, this is Nancy with Amen Acres Homestead, and today I want to show you how to make my favorite brownies. I think you'll really enjoy it, so join me now and we'll make the Fudgy Brownies. The first thing you do when you make these brownies is you preheat your stove to 400 degrees, which I've already done and it's ready to go. Now the next thing that we are going to do, you're supposed to mix in a saucepan 1 stick of butter, 4 tablespoons of cocoa, and a 1/2 cup shortening. And then we're going to melt them all together. Now since I have homemade butter, I'm going to cut it to the approximate size that we need, the equivalent of a stick of butter. Turn my oven on medium. I'm going to put in 4 tablespoons of cocoa. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now the recipe says to use a 1/2 cup of shortening, but I prefer extra virgin olive oil. I'm going to put 1/2 cup of extra virgin olive oil in there. And you just simply stir this until it melts. Which doesn't take very long at all. These are the best brownies ever. They're so rich though, you're going to need a cup of coffee or a glass of milk or something with them. Now I am using Hershey's brand cocoa and my own homemade butter and buttermilk and my homemade vanilla and just a generic brand of extra virgin olive oil. After you've melted everything on the stove, then you pour it in your KitchenAid or you put it in a bowl and put it in your blender. It calls for 1 cup of water. I prefer to use 1 cup of my homemade buttermilk. It also calls for 2 cups of sugar and 2 cups of flour. Okay. A little extra sugar makes it better. There's 1 cup. Second cup. For the flour, I'm using bread flour. It makes it finer and a much nicer texture. It also requires 2 cups of bread flour. One, 2 cups of bread flour. I'm going to let that mix for just a few minutes. Next we need 2 eggs. There's 1. And 2. Next we'll be putting in half a teaspoon of baking soda. And that's half a teaspoon right there. Next we'll be using 1 teaspoon of my homemade vanilla, which is absolutely fantastic. So much better than store-bought. Try the recipe and see what you think about it. Next we need 1/2 cup of buttermilk. 1/3 cup. 1/2 cup of buttermilk. I'm just simply going to scrape it away from the edges so we get all that goodness. Now we're just going to put this into a greased pan. So we just put it in the oven and it cooks for 20 minutes. Okay, now for the frosting. We're going to melt another stick of butter. Again, I'm using my homemade butter, but you can use any kind you want. 4 tablespoons of cocoa. 4 tablespoons of Hershey's baking cocoa, or any kind you like. 1, 2, 3, 4. And also 1/2 cup. Now it says milk. I like to use my buttermilk, but you can use any kind of milk that you would like. And we're just going to stir that until it melts. Butter's already beginning to melt. As soon as the butter finishes melting, I'm going to pour the butter into my KitchenAid stand mixer. Okay, now I'm going to pour the cocoa, the buttermilk, and the butter into my KitchenAid stand mixer. Next, we need 1 teaspoon of vanilla. The choice or a box or a bag of confectioner's sugar. I just keep adding the confectioner's sugar until it reaches the consistency that I would like for it to reach. And I like sweet. I don't know if you can see that very well. Turn it off and scrape the sides of the bowl. Continue to add confectioner's sugar or powdered sugar, whatever term you prefer. Lift that down so you can see the consistency better. And I just continue with this process until I get the right thickness or texture of frosting that I want. This is my desired consistency. I like it to look more like store-bought frosting. Okay, the recipe says to frost them immediately after you take them out of the oven. So that's what we're going to do. Now, this is the richest frosting like ever. You're going to need a cup of coffee or a glass of milk to eat these brownies. How thick the frosting is up to you. You can make any recipe richer, or you can make it a little bit more diet friendly. This is not one of these recipes, so this one is just really, really rich. So it is really enjoyable with the family for a holiday or whenever. I hope you've enjoyed coming along with me to make these wonderful fudge brownies. And please like, subscribe, and share. Any comments that you would want to make? Any comments that you'd want to make? We'd really like to hear them. Thank you so much. And we really appreciate y'all. I just can't tell you how much. Try the recipe and tell me what you think. Thank you.